All right, folks, here we are, another session of Off the Grid Show. Hey, for this session, our guest today has been a longtime fixture in hip hop. He's a true veteran in the game. He's also a producer of music whose resume includes TV shows such as America's Top Model, America's Top Chef, and The Apprentice. I know you guys all seen those shows. And you've even done commercials, man, for Old Navy, Sprite, Diet Pepsi. I got mine in hand ready to go. But hey, his albums, it's been a long time coming and second coming. They've been labeled as hip hop classics and have been revered by the hip hop community for a long time. I've been a big fans of those musics and this man that we have here today. So now I'd like to welcome Mykill Myers to the show. Thank you for hopping on to talk story with me.
No doubt, man. I appreciate the time, man. Appreciate the love.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Hey, can we start with just you telling us more about where you grew up, a little bit about it, where you call home, and tell us how long you've been making music?
Man. So I'm from Los Angeles, California, raised in a city called Carson, California, which is near Long Beach, near Compton. I grew up in a neighborhood called the Cabbage Patch. A couple people from that neighborhood you probably heard of, Razkaz being one of them.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
called the Booyah Tribe.
Oh
Uh,
man.
so going way, way back. But so yeah, I grew up in Carson, man. I'm a California native, LA native. I live in the IE now, which is about, good 55 to 60 miles east of downtown LA. So I live closer to the mountains. Um, so I'm still in this. I'm still in Cali, but I'm not in the city like that anymore.
Right. Well, hey man, I guess I should probably mention this too, man. When I first learned about your music and I heard you on the radio and snippets, man, I really thought you were from New York, man, based on your style, man.
Yeah, I
But
got that. I got that a lot, especially early on, man. It was like
yeah,
either from New York or from Boston.
yeah,
Um, I do have a lot of like New York idiosyncrasies or whatever. I do kind of
yeah,
low key speak with a kind of West Coast LA but New York kind of slang, so or twang.
yeah.
So I get it. It was what was funny was when I first started my first album cover, I had on a Dodgers jersey trying to represent LA, but everybody's from the
Yeah,
East. So, but yeah, I get that a lot though. A
yeah.
lot of early influences from the East Coast. That's why.
Yeah, yeah. And so when I found out you were from California, I'm from California too. So I was very happy to know that you you were from Cali, man. So good stuff. Uh, well, hey, man. So you've been rapping for quite a long time, man. And so, real quick, man, who are your musical influences, man? Who had you really hanging on every word, man? You're very lyrical and just strong with the punchlines, man. Who was on your
And
top list?
I say in the beginning, man, it was like Chill Rob G,
Yep.
uh, Lord Finesse.
Oh, yeah.
Um, it was those guys early on that kind of was like I used to write their rhymes down to see how they did it. You know what I mean? And like how put that in there? How'd you get that in there? How'd you get this to rhyme with that? So early on will be them. But like, any kid in the 80s, man, I had you on TV rap. So
Yes.
then I was on your on TV raps, man, from Big Daddy Kane to Special Ed to, KRS One, Rakim, Slick Rick, Biz Markie, you know what I mean? All the classic greats, whatever. But I think the people or the person that got me thinking that I can do it was probably Ice Cube and Easy E.
Oh, wow.
It was
Yeah,
people from around my way that looked like I look, you know what I'm
that's right.
saying? That drove the cars that I seen that I felt like, oh, if they could do it, I can do it. So I had a lot of heavy influences, man. My favorites are Cube, Kane,
Yeah.
Rakim,
Oh, yeah. Yes,
uh,
yeah.
let's see, Scarface,
Oh, all right.
Coogee Rap, you know what I'm saying? Like, so all of those I was really heavily influenced by, early on. And then I would even be honest and say people like Will Smith, like Fresh Prince,
Yeah, heck yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And just kind of how he put stories together. Um, Slick Rick and Special Ed was one of my favorites too.
Yeah, wow, it was a great time to learn about hip hop too, as well. So a lot of dope teachers, man. So that's great, man. You were never short of the dopeness for sure.
For sure.
So really dope. So was there any particular album though that I mean you just kind of popped the tape off of that thing, or just play the CD out? Was there one album that really sticks out in your mind?
Man, that's hard to say.
Yeah,
I've
that sounds
always
fair.
been a music nerd, so
Yeah.
like it was a lot of tapes I popped, man. From I think the very first record I bought was Takes a Nation, the Millions to Hold Us Back.
Public Enemy. Yeah.
I laid that out to where what's the joint that starts with the flash that terminated exit, and it like that it had a skip in it because I wore that record out. So that would be one. Straight Out of Compton was one that I
Yeah.
probably wore. Um Probably the Blueprint from BDP I wore out. Um
Nice.
the I Got It Made record that forget the name, Young and in Charge, it's special ed record I wore out. Slick Rick, The Adventures of Slick Rick I wore out.
Oh,
So,
classic.
88, I was 14 and 88 came when 88 was this thing, man. So like
Woo.
anything came out of 88, I wore all them records out.
Yep. That's for sure, man.
I would
Well,
also add like EPMD too. Like EPMD was
oh,
like I was heavily influenced by
yeah.
Eric and Parrish, for sure.
Yeah, and I'm still listening to those albums to this day, which is crazy, man. It's very timeless. So
Sure,
super.
for sure.
Well, man, hey, you probably get this question a lot, but this is probably one of my favorite questions to ask. And I've seen a couple stories and variations of how you got your name, but we got to hear from the man himself, man. How did you get the name Michael Myers?
It's not as complex as people think. It's my birth name is Michael. My birthday's on Halloween, so it just made sense.
Yeah. Did you give it to yourself, or did friends kind of help you come up with that?
Oh, I'm gonna be honest, man. I struggled with it for years. Like I
Oh,
didn't
man.
want to use it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
um, but it was at a time where like I think horrorcore was like becoming real big. You know what I'm saying with the Flatliners. Um, I went by another name before that. I went by like Black Pride. I swear like I wanted to be Chuck D. So I was very, very militant and very, very, Afrocentric in the beginning.
Okay.
Um, and then I heard a song called Mind of a Lunatic by the Ghetto Boys. And it was something that Scarface said that just changed the whole trajectory of my career. He was
Yeah.
like, something clicked in my head, visions of bodies in plastic. And that whole rhyme, I can see everything he was saying. And I was
Yeah.
so taken back by that. So I wanted to kind of do stuff that sounded like that.
Nice.
But, and
And
I
I
was,
like how you changed the spelling too, as well. It looks dope. Yeah.
yeah, so the spelling was, it was one of two things. It was an engineer I used to work with. His name is Michael Calderon, and he used to put Mykill on all his stuff. And so that's where I got that spelling from. And
Oh, crazy.
the Myers part, I spelled it without the Y because I wanted to stay away from litigation. So,
Yeah. So that's what I was going to ask you, because Smith and Wesson had the same problem, right? And they went after him, and they had to change their names to Cocoa Brothers for a while. So
like,
you didn't get any issues throughout your career with the name, even though it was
no
being close.
name, but a couple times, man, I had a couple of cease and desist from Fine Cinema about using the theme song.
Oh man, he's part of the theme. I love it, man, and I love the nickname Hitchcock of hip hop. I think it's just mad appropriate. And
Yeah,
you mentioned that you're a big,
Hitchcock fan, man. I was a huge Hitchcock fan as a kid, so that's what.
yeah, yeah, and you can tell too. And so now I got to ask you. So I'm sure you're a horrorcore and just horror film fan in general. But is your family, do they dig horror movies too, or is it just all you?
They do not. That is definitely a me thing, not a them thing.
Yeah.
So I got to watch those in the secrets of my own time.
All right, man. Well, hey, I wanted to talk about just how I first came into your music, man. So I grew up overseas, so we didn't have radio shows like the Wake Up Show, and so I know you were already doing this thing like in the early '90s. And then when I got here, Wake Up Show started putting out CDs right in the late '90s, and I seen all the Wake Up Show CD collabs, and that's where I first heard about you. And you had this track on there, the freestyle that you did with the Almighty Arrogant over the ice cream beat.
Oh,
Oh my
right.
God, that was freaking crazy, man. And man, I used to just I had to write all the lines down, and so I had to write it down just for today, man, because I got to show you some love, man. But there's the line or the verse that starts with murderous thoughts travel throughout my cerebral holy point vocal telling leave you holy like cathedrals. My brain is evil, mind state very demonic, brain powers equivalent to Johnny
John-
Mnemonic.
my- Like
Whoa,
it's
man.
period. MCs, I'm serious. Oh yeah, wow, wow, bro. That was probably that had to be at least that was almost 30 years ago.
Dude, I used to pretend I was rhyming those lines, man. And so when I was first learning how to rap, I still wasn't like familiar with like using metaphors and stuff. And so I mean, I seen the movie, and so it just hit me that line, like with the Johnny Mnemonic line, like had me
Right.
flipping, man. So holy shit, man. So
That's
that's
dope.
crazy.
Yeah, that's and that's young Mike. That's
Wow.
young Mike.
Yeah, and so I mean, I just wanted to let you know, man, you inspired. I'm sure generations of people like myself too as well. But when I heard that, man, I was an instant fan, man. So shout
Nah,
out.
here, man, like, as an artist, especially back then, like I really didn't even not that I didn't take the wake up show stuff serious. It's just,
Yeah,
sitting in a room with 20 guys, it's broadcasting out to the world. You just don't
yeah,
know hearing it at that moment. And so to look back 29 years later and somebody is like reciting something that I
yeah,
said on the almost 3 decades ago, man, is we really took that time for granted, man. Like
yeah,
it was kind of the wake up show was like Haley's comment, man. It was like a moment in time.
yeah,
Like I had created and made so many different relationships from
yeah,
that life lasting. So shout out to Sweat Tech and Sway.
yeah. Hey, how did that happen? Like, do you have to submit a demo to get on, or did they hear about you and invited you to the show? What was the
So
process like?
how I got there was I was the chauffeur for Razcast, Mean Green, and Voodoo that night. And
Oh, nice.
sitting in the back of the studio praying that Sway would ask me to rhyme.
Oh man.
And I was waiting, and he was like, "Go ahead." And so I was like, "All right, cool." And that rhyme you just spit that might have been the one. I think that was the first one I ever got on the
Wow.
radio. So, I know if it wasn't the one, it was one of the first couple that I got
Yeah.
on because he was like, "Yeah, you dope, man. You come back next week." And so like for 52 straight weeks, I kept coming back.
That's
But it
so
was
dope.
one of those things where you kind of had to know somebody to know somebody.
Yeah.
So you would get to the door and then they would kind of like, if you were with so and so, they let you in, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So um towards the end, they started kind of letting people come in off the street and they had like a limit. Because they moved to a bigger studio. But back then, that rhyme, that era, 94, we was on this
Yeah.
little studio called Highland and Yucca. And it's probably no bigger than my bedroom.
Yeah. Wow. And you were saying like there were like 10 to 20 guys in the room when you were recording that?
That very first night I went, I believe KRS-One was there.
Holy
So
cow, man.
so it was
That's crazy.
KRS-One, it was Arrogant, it was what's them cat? Lords of the Underground were there,
Damn.
uh Voodoo, Mean Green, and maybe one or two other people. And then when KRS left, then they let like the rest of the people in. So that same night, like Jurassic 5 came in
Oh,
and
Jesus.
Dilated Peoples came in, right? And so like we were all these young kids, man, just vying for our opportunity to showcase our talent on the airwaves, man. And so it was such a dope opportunity, man. And it was such a
Yeah.
hopefully, man, Sway gets it together, man. They can get like a documentary on that. That
Oh,
is so dope to see.
really dope, man. And so you mentioned a lot of big names from the LA scene, man. And so, hey, man, the LA hip hop underground scene was just very tough, man. And so you talk about like just your perspective of the LA hip hop scene and how it started. And I mean, there's so many amazing MCs who like put it down for the culture, man. So what was it like at the start of that scene?
Man, it was kind of the excuse my dogs, man. It was kind of resurgence of the golden era, man. Like I was fortunate enough, man, to just be born at the right time. And
Yeah. Yep.
I started rapping at the right time. So right around the time when I hit high school, probably was 1990.
Yeah.
It was this scene burgeoning that a lot of people didn't know about with DJs and MCs. And like I said, Razzcast was a few years older than me, so he was already in high school when I was in elementary. I mean, when I was in junior high school.
Yeah.
So I used to kind of, watch him go to these dance spots, man, and just, it was all about dance and graffiti back then.
Yeah, that's right.
And, next thing you know, dude started rapping, and so at that time, you had the Good Life cafe that was coming out,
Yeah.
man. Freestyle Fellowship came through, and it was just so many MCs all around the same age. We were 3 to 5 years younger or older than each other. So,
Yeah.
you had Freestyle Fellowship, and you had Jurassic 5, and you had like people under the stairs. You had all these different groups coming
Jeez.
from this one burgeoning area, right? And so everybody gets confused. Like they say LA, LA is when people say LA, they really talk about LA County because LA County is
Yeah,
huge.
good point.
So so not everybody's from LA, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah,
like, you had the Loop Pack and you had like Ugly Duckling and you had all these different groups that were all trying to vie for the spot, right? And so
good point.
but everybody had to kind of come through the wake up show to cut their teeth. You know what I'm saying? That was the
That's
dope
the truth,
about it.
man. Yeah,
That was the
it's a badge of
so I
honor to
met
be on the
everybody
wake up
there.
show.
I met the Loop Pack there, Madlib, and um, I met the alcoholics there, right?
Jeez.
And I had a deep connection with King T already before anybody ever heard of me, man. I used to be one of the little dudes
Wow.
carrying his back in the day. So and I think Razzcast used to dance for him. So
Holy cow.
like I said, LA roots are
Yeah.
deep, man. And so but that time it's kind of a moment in time, man. Like it was to see a lot of those dudes that were like my rivals then become my peers and then become
Yeah.
and then some 30 years later watching these dudes still be active, it's amazing to see.
Yeah. And so like at the Good Life Cafe, were you just performing spitting bars or were you actually battling too at the time?
At that point, man, Good Life Cafe was more of a opportunity to you to kind of get your opportunity. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yep.
kind of it was like the Apollo, and
Oh, gotcha.
and
Test your
and yeah, the
craft.
first time I went, I got booed. I ain't gonna front. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
got booed. I went up there, tried to freestyle off the head and cursed, and you couldn't curse. They had a no cursing rule. So
Oh,
they booed me, kicked me out. I came back about a month later and did my thing, and and that was just before I hit the wake up show. So it all kind of the timing kind of all worked itself out.
yeah. Yeah. It's a testament of your hard work too, man, as far as how far you've come along. And from your perspective, man, I mean, you've seen hip hop transition into many forms from the 80s until now. And so, what do you think about the current state of hip hop? Are you enjoying how it continues to evolve? And so,
Oh,
what are your thoughts on that?
it depends. Like
Yeah.
I do like the Kendricks and the Coles and
Hmm.
Snoop Cat Simba and
Oh yeah,
like
he's dope.
Griselda's doing and I really like Conway the Machine.
Oh yeah, Griselda, man.
Uh,
Woo.
like I like a lot of that stuff. I think because of the internet and how the algorithms work, some of the more popular stuff gets pushed to the forefront, and you kind of really got to search and scour for stuff that's dope, right?
Yeah,
So, like I love RJ Payne, I love Random and Ransom. I mean, I'm sorry. Like I said, I love what the Griselda cats are doing, and
yeah.
um, Planet Asia is still a fixture
Woo.
in
Yes.
things. So like hip hop isn't like so when you talk about that hip hop, it's still alive and well. You
Yeah.
the popular stuff isn't as good as the popular stuff was, let's say 10, 15 years ago though.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. Thank you for sharing your perspective, man. And so, real quick, I want to take it back now to some of your work, man. And so, I mentioned in the beginning your album. It's been a long time coming that you released in year 2000 with Ill Boogie Records, 16 tracks, man. What an amazing album, man. What was the experience like putting that album together? What was going on in your life, and any cool stories
I
associated with putting that project together?
was teaching at the time,
Oh,
and,
okay.
um, and so after work I would go to the studio and record. And the first album was really kind of a hodgepodge of just verses I had that I was putting
Unbelievable, man.
together with songs. And towards the beginning of it, instead of stuff towards the end, like "Who Am I" and those joints, I recorded later. Those
Yeah.
were like fresh stuff that I wrote. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like pieced together stuff. Because I used to just write. I had a thing where I had to write a song a day, and so or write a verse a day. And so I would just write verses because I was always going to the wake up show, so I had to be prepared. And
Good point.
was
Good
always on the
point.
calendar, so I always had to have something kind of prepared just in case I wasn't on the freestyle that day. So the first record was more of a putting these pieces to this puzzle and trying to make this collage dope. And then I did have the experience of going to New York and recording in D&D studios. Uh,
Oh, wild.
so funny story. So we get to New York and I go to D&D and they're booked and the only room that's available is Primo's room, and you don't Primo's room without right? So I was doing a song with Freddie Fox. So um Freddie called Primo up, and Primo was like, "Oh yeah, that kid Mike Myers, he's dope. Yeah, nah, yeah, you guys can use my room."
Yeah.
And so we were able to do the joint, man. Thanks to Freddie Fox. Shout out to Freddie Fox, and that was dope. And then day two, I did a joint with AG, Andre the
Man,
Giant,
yep. That's right. Straight dirt. You know?
straight. And so that was an experience of itself. That was like one of the first times I had been in New York.
Yeah.
So um, to be in the room with guys who um, I had looked up to as artists, you know what I'm saying? Like everybody knows Soul Clap. You know what I'm saying? Everybody knows,
Yeah.
everybody knows Freddie Fox if you really in the scene like that, you know the flavor you in the history. So
Yeah.
and just to be in D&D at that time, this was
I
2000.
know. That's crazy.
You know what I mean? So like, and I'm probably one of the first LA dudes to be in D&D. So that's an honor in and of itself. But like I met Evil D there.
Oh,
Um
jeez.
so when I was there, Buckshot came down and like, and I had
Yeah.
known Buckshot, but I didn't know Buckshot. So
Yeah.
I had to meet him. So I had, cultivated a lot of, like I said, lifelong relationships meant off of that experience. So um can't believe that record is 23 years old now.
Yeah, it's wild, man. It's man, dude, and it's crazy. The lyrics were amazing. All the beats, like if you listen to it, like I didn't look up the producer info, but I was like, man, these sound all like Primo beats. So it's funny that you mentioned, yeah. But who produced the album though? But they sounded very like Primo, like.
So most of it was done by a cat named M Boogie who owned the label. He owned
Oh,
Ill Boogie.
okay, cool.
And so then some of it was from I had a couple beats from Cheap Shot, who was
Oh,
down the Fort Minor and Styles of
yeah.
Beyond.
Styles of
Yeah,
Beyond. Yep.
yeah. So and then my boy Diverse, who I grew up with from my neighborhood, he
Yeah.
did some of it, and I think Voodoo did Who Am I?
Yeah, and so man, yeah, it was just amazing, man. Like, and first thing I want to highlight too is also that there were 15 tracks, man. So cats don't really do 15, 16 tracks anymore. Like you have, I mean, your ability to hold the attention for that long on that many tracks is amazing, man. So
Uh,
that was an amazing project, man.
that was the goal.
Yeah.
Like I
Oh,
was, as a kid, man, I used to like listen to albums and look at the liner notes and look at the
yeah,
artwork where they recorded at the studios, and
yeah.
that was the first time I had made an album, and I didn't even know what I was doing yet. So
So
uh,
wild, man.
so it was an experience, but I love the making the album
Yeah,
process. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad you appreciated it, man. I'm glad
yeah,
it all came together. The photo shoot that day was funny. Like it really all came together. So
yeah.
but so I appreciate the love.
Yeah. So the cover, which had you with the Los Angeles Dodgers jersey, was that picture taken in L.A. or was that in New York too as
It
well?
was in Carson. It was
Oh, Carson.
right
Okay.
across the street from the school I was attending at the time, which was Cal State Dominguez.
Oh, nice. Oh,
That
crazy.
bubble in the background is now like I think houses or whatever, but
Yeah. Yeah.
um the scowl on my face wasn't intentional. The scowl on my face was the sun being in my eyes.
I thought it was just
We had been we had been
part
there
of
for
the
like 2 hours.
theme.
I was like, man, I'm over it, man. Just take this last shot. Let's go. And that was the one that worked.
Yeah. Hey, and the project too. I gotta appreciate this too. Is the use of the scratching too. Like, man, I thought just the way that you use the scratch, the beats, everything that came together. Like, yeah, folks underrate the scratching, man. It was
Oh,
dope too, man.
it's a lost art
Yeah.
in song making, I think.
Yeah, and you brought up one point too. I wanted to ask you about the wake up show, man. So you're right. You had to have like verses in the pocket ready to go, and you couldn't go to the studio with a piece of paper reciting the verse, right? You
Oh
had to
no.
know. Yeah, yeah,
You had
for
to have
sure.
you had to be memorized, ready to go. And I mean, that was the thing. Like, back then, depending on where you're from and how old you are, like freestyling on the West Coast is a off the head, spontaneous
Yep.
thing. In certain circles and certain sections, freestyling is something you wrote that didn't have a concept. So to be clear and to add context, back then you had to have something ready to go at all times because LA was vicious.
Yeah. Yep. Hell yeah.
Somebody at the bus stop and it's like, oh, that's him. Let's go.
Oh man. That's so cool, man, that you lived in those times, man. And hey man, so and they talk about the second album always being tough to do, but you crushed that with your follow-up album, The Second Coming in 2001, also with Ill Boogie Records, and again 15 tracks, and then mostly produced by Diverse, and this time DJ Revolution, I assume from the Wake Up Show, right?
Yeah, the
Cool.
Revolution did one. I did a couple. Um, I was hell bent on answering my critics from the first record.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Hell bent. Like I used to read them reviews, man, and read the. I was beside myself at as a fan of hip hop and what people were asking for hip hop artists. I thought I gave them that, and then from the backlash I
Yeah.
got from it, this made me upset. So this record was really really dark. I was
Whoa.
in a dark place then. And so, but the beauty of it was the art that came from it.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I thought there was no slip, and like you said, it was super hard. So it was just amazing, man. And again, that's probably almost close to 40 tracks of just heart hitting boom bap. And so
Yeah,
this time though, it
it's
wasn't.
like
Yeah.
most of the concept of this record was pretty much all me. Like I
Yep.
had you listen to Who Am I, which was the last song I recorded for a long time coming. I
Hmm.
referred to myself as the Hitchcock of hip hop.
That's right.
And so going into the next record, the process happened fast. It happened. I did that album in 2 weeks.
I read. Holy cow, man, that's
Like
crazy.
I was on the road, and I remember talking to my man who was my DJ at the time, DJ Dusk.
Okay.
I was We were talking about the reviews, and I was like, bro, like I feel like I'm gonna just do what I want to do. I don't really care about what people say anymore. I'm gonna just do what
Yeah.
I think, and I'll live with the results. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So, um, in order to get it out by October 30th, it was I want to say it was the summer. It was like July-ish or whatever.
Yeah.
And so back then it took, 5, 6 months to put a record out and get it on CD and
Yeah.
vinyl and all that type of stuff. So it was a process. So I
Yeah.
literally it was like July 14th or something like that. I had to like the
Yeah.
30th to get it done, mixed and mastered, so it can be sent to shipping and then be out by the 30th. So um so every day I was going to the studio and I was writing on my way to the studio.
That is nuts, man. And you're recording probably multiple songs a day too. And were there songs that didn't make the album too, or did everything
Yeah,
stay?
so the songs that didn't make the albums were always the B-sides to those singles.
Oh, got it. Okay.
So, but yeah, I like for it's been a long time coming. I probably had about 16 versions of Trigonometry before
Oh,
the
crazy.
that version. And so I'm one of those, like I'll audition different songs and different beats,
Yeah.
and sometimes like my process is the more I hear it and the more I like it, the
Yeah.
more it'll work. And sometimes I'll hear it and it sounded good in the moment, but as I listen to it for the 15th, 16th time, it starts to get stale, then I won't
Yeah.
use it. And so
And that's another good point that you brought up, man. Just the beat. So, like in today's world, it's not hard to go on the internet and find tons of beats, man. So, I mean, did you go through a lot of beats for these albums that you put together, the first and
oh
second
yeah,
ones?
like I had beats from because of the success of my first record, I had like a little bit of money to
Yeah.
pay some producers, and then I had met
Yes.
producers over time, and um the sound wasn't what I wanted. Like I had beats from Psycho Les from the Beat Nuts. I had
Oh my God.
one of the songs, I want to say it was Get It Right. I
Yeah.
think the original one was produced by Evidence.
Oh man.
And I just didn't like how that song sounded with those lyrics. It
Ooh.
wasn't the beat was whack. It just the magic wasn't there. And
Right.
so
Yeah.
and I had a couple beats from a couple people, man, and it just it didn't I didn't love it like
Yeah.
I wanted to. Like I didn't want to just do a song with Psycho Les beats because Psycho Les did it
Right. Right.
wasn't authentic. So
Yeah.
I chose not to use it.
Hey man, that's a good point. And recording it in 2 weeks is an amazing feat in itself. But I saw a story about this album that I really enjoyed, man. So the release of this album was on the same day that Michael Jackson released Invincible,
Yep,
the same day that Michael Jordan returned back to the NBA with the Wizards.
indeed.
Yep. And then you released the album, and I saw that it's been called that day, the day that the Michaels returned. I loved it, man.
Was
Yeah.
my publicist that came up with that idea. Um, kind of had to do something, man, because you got to think this was post 9/11 now.
Yeah.
So music was different, outlets were different,
Hmm.
uh,
I love it.
everything was just different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, so it was like everybody was reeling, trying to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I think the hottest record was still, I think, the Blueprint from Jay-Z at the time, because it
Oh,
came prior. And yeah, that's what we ran with, man. And it got some funny press that kind of helped the success of the record. Little did I know though that that record went gold in Europe.
oh my gosh, dude. Super awesome.
Yeah, until MySpace came around.
Dude, I love the story and I'd run with it and I love it, man. Yeah. So that was super cool.
But
I
yeah, I
just enjoyed the
think it was
story,
dope.
man.
Though, like, it happened to be all that same day, literally October 30th, 2001.
That is dope, man. And now, just as I went through your catalog, man, I picked this single in particular, which is dope because you mentioned earlier in the interview that you popped the tape off of the Public Enemy album, and then eventually you would do a song with Chuck D, man. So the single "I Rap Black," which was produced by Swedish producer Maximilian, featured yourself, Chuck D, Bishop Lamont, back in 2018. Just the social messaging behind that song was ridiculous, man, and it was amazing, man. Just my mind was blown. And what was it like when you found out you were going to be on a track with Chuck D?
Oh, so let me clear something up. So the original song "I Rap Black" was on my record,
Oh,
and
okay.
it was me and Chuck D on it. Um,
Oh, okay.
my
Just you two.
It was just us two, and it was on my "Take It in Blood" album, I believe. No, it was on
Mm,
my Me album. Sorry, and
okay.
yeah, I met Chuck couple maybe a year before this whole thing came about, and I was there as a fan at a book signing.
Yeah.
I had bought his book, went to go to the book signing. It was at the Grammy Museum,
Oh my
and
God.
he was like, but I knew his DJ. I knew Johnny Juice, and then I knew Flavor Flav from Flavor of Love because I did music for it.
Oh,
So
holy cow. That's
I knew
crazy.
I knew Griff, but I had never met Chuck. So
Yeah.
when I was introduced to him, he was like, "I know Mike," and we shook hands, and he was like, "Man," and so they were doing the Occupy Skid Row concert. So it was, homelessness is a big problem in LA, and
Yeah.
so it was this big concert, and he was like, "Man, you should come through, and you should come down and." Be on stage with us, man. And so, like, I got a chance to like be in the moment with my childhood idol, and
Yeah.
I'm right next to him, going word for word the noise. You know what I
That
mean?
was
And,
ridiculous, man.
and we just kind of stayed in contact. And then we had a mutual friend who had a benefit she wanted me to speak at, he spoke at. And then that's kind of when we forged a relationship. So funny story is
Yeah.
I brought it's been a long time coming. And I was like, if he asked me for it, I'm gonna give it to him, right?
Yeah.
And I had my Takes the Nation of Millions of Holders Back CD since I've had since '88. I
Yeah.
had one. So I was like, yeah, I'm about to get this signed.
Yeah.
It's a,
Heck yeah.
right. And so I went, I was like, hey man, you mind signing this? And he was like, yeah, man, like I need one of your records, so you can sign it for me.
Oh, that's so dope,
I was
man.
like, that was the moment. Like I was like, ah. And so he's like, yeah, we should definitely do a song. So when I
Damn.
was we were working on the Me record, I was like, all right, I got this idea, you know, I want to kind of do something real Public Enemy ish. Uh,
Yeah. I was gonna ask you who came up with the concept.
so it was me. I did my first verse. I did that verse, sent it to him, and he came back with what he came back with, and like I didn't expect him to the verse to be like that or the intro to be like that or nothing. So then there was like a monologue of about of a minute of him just talking,
Yeah. He's
right? And
got
so
that voice, man.
that's what New Breed of MC, like all that stuff. We used some of that stuff to scratch in. And that was by Johnny Juice that did the scratching for that. And so then when we did the remix, um, it was an opportunity for the kind of the song get some new life.
Yeah.
And some people, the producer in Sweden, Maximilian, he a good friend of mine. I met him through DJ Devastate, who passed away, who did
Yep.
some
Rest in
production.
peace, man.
Um, he wanted to do a remix. Their label wanted to kind of remix it and put it out.
Yeah.
Which is dope. I added Bishop on it because Bishop is my boy. Like Bishop is like my little brother.
Crazy.
So
Oh my gosh, dude, that's
so it
awesome.
was like, and he'd never met Chuck before, so I had an opportunity to introduce him to Chuck, and
Uh,
I'm a big Chuck D fan too. Yeah, me and Bishop Lon are really close. We got the birthday on the same day too, so uh,
nice.
so we
What?
he's also from Carson too. So
Nice. Well, hey man, thanks for clearing that up, man. Because I was like, man, who came up with the concept, right? So it's good that you surfaced the story. And again, the lyrics hit me, man. You talked about whether you a donkey or an elephant. At this point, your affiliations is irrelevant. Either we take a stand or we all fall. Either you give us our rights or we make them all, man. I love it, man.
I
Yeah.
want to say the Freddie Gray incident happened when I wrote that.
Ah,
I
okay.
think it was one of those. Been so many, man. It's unfortunate, but
Yeah, yeah.
it was one of those moments when I wrote that verse, and so I was feeling some kind of way, man.
Yeah, and I felt it, man. And so that was a line that just kind of stuck with me as I kept listening to that track. I was like, geez, man. So yeah, it was away from the battle stuff that you do and just really introspective and hit me hard, man. So yeah, right on, man.
For sure.
Yeah, and so a lot of projects, man. Mike Tyson, man, and then your latest album, Double Homicide with Pause One, that you released 2 years ago, was super dope too with Below System Records, man. And how was that? How was that process like putting that project together?
It was weird because it was during COVID,
Oh, okay,
so
online
it was
then.
something we talked about. I met Pause at a show. He came to me as a fan and was like, "Yo, I appreciate your stuff, man. We should work together."
Mhm.
So I've been on a couple of his records or whatever, and so
Yeah,
like we should do something together. And I was like, "Cool." The unfortunate side about it, I'm glad everybody loved it, man. But I really
yeah,
felt like it wasn't my best work just for me as an artist. I just started my doctoral program, man. It was COVID. It was a lot. I had a lot going on, so um I apologize to pause profusely, man, like to not be involved as much as I could have been or should have been. But I'm glad people responded to my efforts on it, and
yeah.
uh,
I thought it was hard as
I'll,
hell.
I'll, I'll, I'll ever be in Pause's debt for allowing me to not be my best self. And a lot of that stuff was all him.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a man. He's a magician on the mic too, man. Great putting songs together. But yeah, I thought it was amazing too, man. I thought your work was dope, and I got the wax, and I love the cover too with the
Yeah,
no
no,
eyes.
like I said, that concept was his.
Oh, okay, okay.
The concept was his from inception, man. Like, only thing I did was okay it. I okayed it and I showed up. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, man, if I had to do that all over again, I would have put my better foot forward. But I don't think I did a bad job. But I know I could have did better.
No, amazing project. So shout out to you, man, for putting work together. And you're a multitasking dude. You're going through your doctoral program too, and I say that's pretty amazing, man. So shout out to you, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I always got something going, man.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, and I love that, man. I try to stay busy too, man. And videos too, you never fall short of that too. I'm gonna take you back to the video My Prime, which I really enjoyed because I like. Well, I don't skate, but I love watching skateboarding videos too as well. And so how was it like putting that video together?
All
Was
right,
that
true story, full disclosure.
okay? Let's hear it.
So that day we were supposed to film um the joint I did, Planet Asia,
Oh shoot!
and he didn't show up. Scheduling problems, issues, whatever happened. He didn't
Yeah,
show up. So I had this camera crew and we were in downtown LA and I seen some young dudes skating and the director, she was like, "Yeah, let's get them. Let's just do it. This is have fun.
yeah,
Let's not waste the day." So
that's
she's like,
right.
another song. I was like, "Bet, I got plenty of songs." Shit, So we settled on my prime and if you really watch the video, that's like typical me. You know what I'm saying? Like the little cuts of me being silly and dancing or whatever. That was just
Yeah.
me. And it was a side of me that I kind of wanted to show because everybody always sees me and they think I'm serious or they
Good
hear my
point.
voice and they think I'm this evil, mean person.
Right, right. Oh, good point, man.
Like I'm like I what I usually get from people like when I meet people that have been fans for a long time, they're like, "Oh, you're shorter than I thought."
Oh, no, shoot.
So 'cause I'm like 5'8", bro, on a good day. So
Oh,
um
you got more
so
than me, man.
I get that a lot. So I kind of wanted to show a different side and just kind of be free and be me.
Oh, that's a good point. I never thought about that, but yeah, it was indeed a fun album, man, or a fun video. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's super cool. Well, hey, man, I agree with you, man. I'm glad you didn't waste the day, man. That was a cool video to watch.
Yeah, I remember, man. I was damn, that was like February 2015ish. Like I remember that day like it was yesterday.
Oh, that's so awesome, man. Well, hey, man, have a lot of experience of both working with a label and running independent. And so just now, as you're older and wiser and you've seen it all, man, like what were the challenges in terms of like working on each side? What were the challenges working with a label? And what are the challenges running independent, man? You have any
Oh,
thoughts on that?
the key of working on a label is that everybody does everything for you. The downside is that you don't educate yourself on what you should be getting
Mm.
versus what they're getting, right? And so, wise man named by the name of Russell Simmons told me, man, that's why it's called the record business, not the artist business.
Oh man.
So, um, I was turned down for a lot of deals early on in my career. The success of the Wake Up Show got me the notoriety, and I
Yeah.
got the deals, or I got the meetings, but I never got the deals. And so when I decided to sign with Ill Boogie, it was just an opportunity to put a record out. Like I didn't have
Yeah.
no, I wasn't trying to blossom a music career. I just wanted to put one record out. That was the goal.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh
and if
man.
I'm dope enough and it's dope enough, then they give me a second chance, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And so, what and the strange part about my Ill Boogie days is that the music took two shifts as those two records came out, right? In
Yeah.
that 2 year time frame. I signed in '99, and vinyl was a huge thing.
Yep.
It's all about vinyl. CDs were a second thought, right? And so, for those who really know my career, they know my first album was cassette tapes and vinyl only, and then the
Yeah.
CDs came later. And I had the white tape, right? And so, uh, but by the time I got to the second record, CDJs had been the thing, and vinyl was kind of on its way out.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And so, by the time the record kind of had been out for a year, the second coming had been out for a year, we were on the MP3s,
Yep.
and so. And then there was like the internet, MySpace, and all that type of stuff, and so and then Napster was the hot thing back then.
Ah, yes. Yeah.
What I learned from my stint with Ill Boogie is I learned the business,
Got
like
it.
how to massage relationships and how to make those things work and how to make connections in places that I didn't think were important until I started running my own business.
Oh, I bet.
As an independent artist or as an label owner, I was fortunate that I already had a built-in fan base
Wow,
because
good point.
that was done on the Wake Up Show and Ill Boogie.
That's
So
right. Good point.
the easy part was to put the music out. The hard part was to get it to I knew who would buy it
Uh-huh.
because I had to be strategic about spending money in regards to promotion. A lot of times, especially back then, you promote to everybody, and then you hope that it gets popular enough where everybody buys it.
That's
Well,
right.
when I started running my business, it was like, look, I got 10,000 fans. I'm gonna just sell it to those 10,000 people. I don't care about nobody else.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna hit the road, and when I hit the road is when I'll get the new fans.
Yeah. On shows and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so I stayed on the road as an independent. When I started my label, I was always on the road.
Oh, yeah. Probably away and stuff. Yeah.
But then
Holy
I
cow.
learned funny thing about publishing that certain venues
Right.
get you get money performing at certain venues through publishing.
Oh, I didn't know
It's
that.
something Fox told me. So I started, looking at ASCAP's venue roster and like, oh, I need shows there. I need shows there. So I would
Oh
talk to
man.
them, let's do a show here. Let's do a show there, so on and so forth. So I learned quick how to make money from things that, because like not only do you get the show money, you get the publishing money for performing in the venue. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I learned about that. And then with the publishing, I also learned that there's a thing called music licensing.
Ah,
So
got it.
that's
That's
me
when
on.
people use it and stuff, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I was one of the first, man. I was one of the first underground artists to get my music on TV shows and commercials and video games before it was a thing.
That's so wild, man. Yeah. Holy cow! And you've been doing it for a long time, and now, like, I mean, how does one even get introduced to commercials and like all the stuff that you did with Sprite and Old Navy, and how does that happen, man?
It's relationships, to be
Oh, okay, yeah, networking,
honest.
right?
So a guy who was an intern with me at Loud Records by the name of B Win, he he was an intern at Loud when I was interning at Loud, and I was only interning at Loud just to get in shows free.
Yeah.
But he became like the A&R.
Oh,
And
crazy!
from that, he cultivated that to a relationship of working with VH1. And so VH1
Did
was looking
stuff for
for
VH1, yeah,
they were looking for hip hop for their reality shows before reality shows was like the standard.
yeah,
And so I just sent them everything I had. I sent
yeah.
them beats. I sent them the two albums that I had recorded already. And I sent them like 30, 40 beats on a beat CD in both the albums. And then next thing you know, I'm watching Man versus Food and I hear
Oh,
Trigger
God.
in the background.
Oh,
And I'm
that's
like,
great.
oh, like, yeah. You know what I'm saying? So like
Crazy.
ASCAP statement comes, and I'm like, oh, the money's good, so let's roll. Just different people that I met, they became somebody in the industry, and that's how I got to commercials too. Like I worked
Yeah.
for a guy a producer who they used to do demos for commercials. They worked
Wow.
for an agency, ad agency. They worked for ad
Yeah.
agency. They were one of the first producers to that agency had hired to really go scour for talent.
Yeah. Such an
And
amazing
so I think the very
experience.
first commercial I had was a Nintendo Dust commercial.
Oh, that's so dope, man.
And so
Yeah.
beat for them. They thought it was dope. Cool. And then the Bud Light thing was I was doing it for the demo money. I got paid $400 to show up. And
Jeez.
so I wrote it in like 10 minutes and they were like, yo, you know anybody that can rap in Spanish? I was like, I can try.
Yeah, yeah. I'll do it for money. Yeah.
So you go give me another 400? And they were like, for sure. And I was like, all right, let's go. Thank you.
Dope,
Nice to
man.
meet you. So, you know, like, and so I made it happen. And then like little did I know, like I didn't really know how publishing worked. I knew how it worked, but I didn't know how you get paid from it until the licensing thing came in. Cause it was
Yeah.
like you do something in the third quarter of one year, you don't get paid till quarter number two of the next year.
Got it.
And so them checks started to get real big, you know, for stuff that I had forgotten I'd done because I had gotten paid for the demo already.
That
So
is awesome.
um and I didn't know it at the time, but I was like on the cutting edge of being an artist.
Yeah. That's
I was just
amazing.
trying to stay afloat though.
Hey, do you own all your masters
I
or
do.
oh, fantastic. Was that part of the deal or did you have to wait that 20, 30-year time limit?
When Ill Boogie folded, so he went bankrupt. Ill Boogie went bankrupt.
Okay.
And so part of the recompense of that was I need my masters back.
Oh, great,
Now,
man. You
I
are.
think I owned at the time, I think I owned 60% of them anyway.
Yep.
So it wasn't like a big, huge loss, but the dude he felt bad about how it ended.
Yeah.
And so that was what he let me walk away with. And then he let me walk away with all the remaining copies of the vinyl, the posters, the CDs, the tapes. They sent two huge crates to my mom's house,
Oh,
and I had stored them in my mom's garage for a couple of years. And I would just every time I go to overseas, I'd take a box or two and sell them,
yeah.
sell them. This was before you were really doing retail online, and that's kind of how I book shows. I would just go on tours with people when
Yeah.
they just beg to get on the mic. That's how I got to really got comfortable with Buckshot. Let me go on them boot camp click tours.
God, that's freaking
Like I
awesome.
don't even want to be on the bill. I just want to rap so I can sell these CDs.
Yeah.
Like, all right, bet, cool.
Man,
And
that's such an
so,
awesome experience, man. But yeah, hey, I'm glad that you own your masters, and you know all the greats have had problems with that. I mean, De La Soul just getting back their masters now, and folks are almost close to that 30-year mark. So you know, I'm always hearing that yeah, we're close before we can own these tracks. So it's awesome that you own all your masters, man. Yeah. And yeah, and so and I've seen too as well. So you worked on the label side, and so I saw in different stories that you were given a budget to produce albums. One with perspective. So how's that work, man? So they give you like thousands of dollars, and then who's monitoring the cash in terms of like the budget they give you for the album? And they probably have guys in there monitoring and letting you know, or do you have to watch and be mindful of the money that they allotted to you?
Well, yeah, they usually give you a fee in whatever
Yep.
the budget is, and then so you have a little wiggle room to like pay for studio time or pay for extra things you need, so on and so
Yeah.
forth. So they're usually counting the beans all the time. They always, they always somebody's always watching, right?
Yeah.
And um, so yeah, it's just one of those things. They give you some money, and hopefully you get the job done. I'm very very good at making stretching a dollar, so
Yeah.
um, I usually finish under budget to
Nice.
so I can keep the rest anyway.
I love it. Yeah, I think that's great, man. Good way to do it. And I love this is some advice that you issued in a different interview too, man. And you talk to people about just reminding them about the importance of having multiple streams of income.
For sure.
So, can you further expand on that and just what you mean?
I started to notice very very quick, man, when MP3s became a thing and then streaming became a thing that um you can't be a one trick pony. Like
Yeah.
everybody can't be Eminem or 50 Cent or Snoop
Yeah.
Dogg, right? So, but what do the successful people do? They have to have multiple streams of income, right? So Chuck D was always like, man, you should write a book or you should do this, you should do that, because he's always been in the forefront. He's doing art now, he's doing all kind of stuff, right? And
True.
so um value of music itself, like people don't buy CDs or records anymore. So what do you have to do to be able to make a decent living from this? Is you kind of got to branch out, and you got to do merchandise, you got to do all kind of things.
Yeah.
So um so you have to really kind of diversify your talent, man, and be able to to remember yourself as, I hate to use this word now because it's so overused, but you have to really learn how to brand yourself.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
as a brand, you can sell products, and the product doesn't only have to be music.
Nah, that's a good point, man. Yeah, I thought that was that as well hit hard too, man. So I love how you're able to share and expand on that. And some of the stories that you had mentioned too, man. Just the honor of getting to hang out and share some thoughts with Russell Simmons must have been crazy too as well, man. And so
Yeah,
yeah,
I had a meeting. I had a meeting. I was trying to sign a Def Jam.
okay, they flew you down or
Flew me down,
oh
and
my gosh.
I'm in the office, man, and like he had me waiting an hour. The meeting was at 11, and he didn't show up till 12. When he showed up, he made me wait another 40 minutes, and then I finally went in, and he was like, "What's up, Mike?" And I was like, "He's like, yeah, you got the joint with Freddie Fox. It's, yeah, it's dope. Like, what do you want from me?" I was like, "I'm trying to get a record deal." He's like, "No, what do you really want?" I was like, "Man, I
Oh
kind of
wow.
want to be you." And he was like, "Oh, well, you don't need me for that." He was like, "Look, if you came here for a record deal, man, I'm not trying to sign you." And I
Wow.
was like, "What you fly me out for?" He was like, "I gave you the opportunity to sit down with Russell Simmons."
Oh man, that's
And so,
wild, dude.
all right, touche. And he was like, "Look, I'll never sign a guy like you." And I was like, I just want to ask why. He was like, "It's not about talent, man. It's about, if I gave you a contract right now, you
Yeah.
would read through it, you would have your red marks on it, and then you would give it to an attorney. I
Yeah.
don't have time for that.
Damn.
I know there's 55,000 other people that'll sign it on the spot. Take this little $50,000 I'm gonna give them and call it a day. I know
Uh,
you come back, you're gonna want more of this, and you're gonna want ownership and all type of stuff. You're a smart dude. You're a college graduate. I don't want college graduates. I want dummies."
oh man, that's wild. Who's giving you the
So
tips?
I left the meeting pissed off until I got back on the plane, and I realized that that was one of the best meetings I ever had.
That's awesome, man.
It
Yeah.
taught me
Well,
that to know my own worth.
wow. Hey, that's great, man. Yeah, that must have been a wild experience too, man. And just reflecting on that too. And I'm sure, and it sounds like it's the advice stuck, right? With based on all the things you've done afterwards.
Yeah. Then
Yeah,
I like. ever since then I started my own. I was like, I do things on my own.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love that about you too, man. It's just you're always sharing advice and your experiences, man. And I think that comes in your background as a teacher, man. So, yeah, yeah. And I think I read you started off as middle school, and now you're doing college classes too, right? You're a college
Yeah,
professor.
yeah. I'm a school counselor during the day, and then I
Okay.
professor at University of Redlands at night. It's
Man.
I never thought I'd be here. I'm gonna be honest, but it's been a journey, bro. Like one day there'll be a movie or documentary or book about this, and people wouldn't have
Hope
any
so.
idea that from what I came from, I made it to this point.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. I think you're a true mentor in every sense of the word. And I just wanted to highlight the work that you did. I think teaching, in my opinion, is one of the hardest jobs, man. You got so many kids in different minds that learn in different ways, visual, verbal. And so you got to figure that out as a teacher or counselor, man. So,
The
uh, yeah, I
best
think you're
thing I
amazing.
give, and is that you love what you do and love who you work for.
Yeah, so I just got to shout you out and just thank you for your work as a teacher, man. It's really tough being an educator, man. So I got to give you your props, man.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. And so, like, so I mean, we see it in your professional capacity, but what about in the musical capacity? Do you have a lot of younger generations seeking out for mentorship, and are you
Yeah, people,
shaping?
people call me all the time for advice on things. Even some of
Yeah,
the elders, man, like some
yeah.
pioneers. I've gotten a couple of pioneers out of their deals that they were stuck in since '87.
Oh,
You know what I'm
wow.
saying? Like, so yeah, a lot of people call me for a lot to help, or we kind of run in certain circles, and people ask how you did that, and I'd be like, oh, we this is what we did, or this is what I did. So pause one was one of them, right? I told him a long time ago, man, like, nah, don't worry about, just go work, do the work, get on the road, and the rest will speak for itself. You know what I'm saying? And so I look at him now, and I'm like, yeah, he took the ball and ran with it like he's supposed to. So yeah, I'm always down to help, man. Like nobody helped me, so um,
Yeah,
the best help I can give somebody is being available for them,
yeah,
as mentorship, or as just a guide, or just somebody to bounce stuff off of, just because they don't know. I've been in this business since '94,
yeah. I
so
respect that, man.
um
You've seen it all.
it says a lot in and of itself. There's people that started out and were giants when I started, not
Yeah.
around anymore.
Mm.
And I still got people asking me to do podcasts in 2023. So
That's it, man. Hey, dude, man, you stayed in my music box for a long time and still today, man. So,
must have
yeah,
did something.
yeah, yeah, projects that are timeless, and so yeah, it's amazing. I love it just when people share, man, and I find mentorship very important because you got to learn from the past, man. And so this is great, man. I love people like yourself who do that and are willing to share advice. So I'm glad that you're like that on social media and in person, man. It's great.
For sure, man.
Yeah, with that, man. So I know you produce music, you rap, and so have you ever dabbled in any other elements of hip hop?
I have, man. You'll be surprised.
Let's hear it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've written a couple R&B songs. I've produced a couple R&B songs.
Oh,
Produced a couple heavy metal songs.
wow.
I was actually going to do a 25-year anniversary to the Second Coming in heavy metal.
What?
I had considered.
Whoa.
I'm still considering it because I still got
Okay.
time. I Just
Oh,
something I wanted to do. Like,
yeah. That's
big heavy
that's
metal
awesome.
fan. People probably don't know that about me. Like I'm, Megadeth, Metallica, Iron Maiden, Black Sabbath.
Love
I'm
it.
all of them. So I've been dabbling with a couple of things that I've been trying to produce on that level.
Yeah.
Uh, the stuff that I've created so far has been good, not good enough to let anybody hear yet though.
Uh, I'm sure. Well, you're toughest critic, man. So I'm sure it's dope. And R&B, did you stick with the? So we grew up when R&B I thought was super dope, the '90s, right? So big
Right, right.
SWV, and so did you stick with that flavor of R&B, or are you more on the modern side of R&B now?
No, I'm more that the '90s,
I love it.
'80s era kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
there you go.
Uh,
Well,
Can't,
dope.
can't see my sweater, but
Oh
it's
yeah, heck yeah.
not Marvin Curtis Michael. So
Luther
those
got
are
it.
my
Oh, that's
musical idols right there. That should tell you everything you need to know.
that is the truth, man. Well, hey, man, what do you like to do for fun while you're not making music or chasing degrees or teaching or mentoring?
I
Yeah, you're a
found
busy
a
man.
passion, man. I'm writing children's books now.
Are you really? Have you released one already, or?
I just released one last month called Brave Little Me. Man, it's a story about um,
Congratulations, man.
a courageous character trying to find who they are and being happy with being unique and being different and being brave. And they go on this journey to kind of find out who they are. So, um, it like I said, it wasn't in the cards, man. It kind of happened one day, and I said
Yeah,
it. And I'm one of those. If I say I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it and see what works. And it's been doing
yeah,
pretty well at this point, and I haven't even really pushed it hard yet.
yeah. Is it through Amazon? Is that where you purchase it, or?
Go through my website to get it right now, but I'll have it on Amazon before the year's up.
I love it, man. Well, good. And so, I mean, you're a man that's deep in music, and so, do you have any immediate or extended family members that dabble in rap too, as well, or is it you've been just the sole force?
I don't, man. Like my musical influences, like my mom was from the South, so she listened to like everything from like Johnny Cash and Conway
Yep.
Twitty to and Charlie Pride to the Temptations, and my dad listened to jazz. So
Nice.
I grew up a jazz dude. And then my aunt, who was I don't know, maybe 20 years older than me, she got me into like the newest latest. And so a very good friend of hers used to dance on Soul Train. So and they knew Jody Watley before Jody Watley was Jody Watley. So
Oh
they
my gosh.
were coming by the house before she was Jody Watley, before she was a shallow.
Nice.
And
Crazy.
matter of fact, the first day I ever heard Prince's "Soft and Wet" was because of Jody Watley.
Oh man.
She brought the
Dude.
45 over to the house, and we was jamming to that. They played that record until like I couldn't take it no more. But yeah, as far as that though, man, like my sons are kind of too young. I think my oldest son had picked up my music nerd habit, so he's really
Okay.
like he likes to. He's pitch perfect, so
Nice.
he can hear a melody and hum it and sing it, and he's pitch perfect. Not that he can sing or anything like that, but like he hears what I hear when I hear music, and I don't
Yeah,
always hear
that
it.
Sonic.
Right? He's got the sonic ear, and he's a nerd for it. So,
That's
uh, that I appreciate. Will he ever do music? That would be up to him. I won't ever force him to do it.
nice, man. Well, hey, man, when it comes to performing, man, do you have any pregame rituals that you have to do before you perform, or you just get to
Um,
it, man?
I know I still get intensely nervous.
Yeah, that's a good,
So
the hunger. Yeah.
yeah, so I get super nervous. I get really nauseous. Uh, but is there a ritual? Probably. I can't think of anything that I do just every time. But
Yeah.
I know when I feel that anxiousness and nervous go on, that's when I feel better
Yeah.
because I know this is a normal feeling at this point in the day, and
Yeah.
so it's about to go down.
Yeah. You're about to kill the mic. And yeah, I just like for me, I can't drink liquor before I perform, but that's
Me
kind of the
neither.
only thing.
I try not to,
Yeah.
only because it I don't it dries my mouth out,
Yeah. That's it. That's it. Yeah.
and so the anxiousness already dries my mouth out, so I don't need any extra pressure.
Yeah.
So
And
I
I,
drink a
I,
lot of water. I do have to use the bathroom every time before I go on stage. Like every never fails.
yeah. Yeah. The pregame, baby. Yep. I
Never
feel you
fails.
on that. And I had one time too, man, where I was chewing gum before I performed, and oh man, I fucked up a verse while I was chewing gum, and oh man, that was rookie mistake. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Never chew gum before.
that was me, man. But hey, that's dope, man. And so with that, all right, man. So you're from LA, man. Tell me if folks wanted to come visit LA, what is a spot that one must eat at, man? What is
Oh,
Mike Myers' favorite restaurants out there?
ooh, that's tough.
Tough,
That's
right? Yeah.
that's tough. Probably Johnny Pastrami's
Okay.
in downtown LA. You got to go to the pantry if you want some pancakes. It's in downtown LA as well. In my hometown, Carson, got to go get some Rosario's pizza,
Whew,
uh,
okay.
and some Carson burger, sure.
Yeah, and you guys got great Mexican food too, man.
Yeah,
Oh man,
we the best Mexican food in the business.
I agree, man. Well, good deal, man. Well, hey, with that, man, any special projects that you wanted to highlight aside from the second coming potential Megadeth beat transition? Any other projects you want to highlight?
I would really love people to go to my Bandcamp page and check out my Michael's chapters. I got 4 chapters.
Okay.
Um, album. It was kind of they were written in 40 days, recorded in 40 nights.
Dang.
And I put out 10 songs per chapter. And it was kind of, I started it in the middle of 2020. Really, I started it the day that George Floyd died.
Oh,
And
okay.
so the album really, I don't want to say politically driven because that wouldn't be fair, but I think it was just my mood in that moment. And I wanted to, I'm not a filmographer, so I wanted to document how I felt in 2020. And I was
Wow,
able to do that in 40 songs.
man, that's amazing. Well, I'll definitely do that. And
Came out in 2021. I put an album out a month for like 4 months. And it didn't do commercially well, but it did well enough to where, I got my investment back. So that was always good. But
yes, sir.
I'm working on something right now as we speak.
Okay.
I'm not sure how I'm going to put it out yet,
Okay.
but I'm passionate about it because it's me at 49 at the precipice of his doctor's degree, and it's called The Kingsman,
Oh man.
and it's probably my deepest work ever.
Oh, I can't wait, man. Oh,
And then I had a project that I was working on. It was all about mental health diagnoses. I'm speaking from the diagnosis perspective though, not from the person who has it.
oh man. Okay.
So if to give you some insight, think Master Ace and Pharaoh Monch fight song.
Okay.
That was the muse for it. I spoke to Master Ace. I had him as a guest on my podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, he was a big fan of mine. Um, I'm a Master Ace nerd, so to have him somebody I can call for advice was huge. But
Wow.
he kind of like, no, you got to do it, bro. You got, even if you don't ever put it out, like, do it. Let me hear it. Like, we can do something with this. And so that meant everything to me. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
eventually get to it. It's already written. I just been struggling with time to do beats.
Yeah.
So I've been off work for the last 6 days. So I've been working on trying to find the sound that I want for the Kingsman.
Gotcha.
Uh, Working on the sounds of what I really want. Like I said, for me, doing an album is like making a movie
Yeah.
because I do mood music, so I'm trying to find the sound that fits the mood of the tone that I'm talking about.
Yeah. It's got to be
And
deliberate. Yeah.
I can't force that.
Yeah.
So
You'll just know.
I gotta kind of listen to music and
Yes.
listen to sounds, listen to what I
Yeah.
think the mood is, and then let God in.
I love it, man. Why I look forward to this Kingsman project whenever that drops. So that's awesome, man. And with that, man, so you mentioned your Bandcamp site. Where is the best place to find your music? Is it digital streaming platforms or
Yeah, all the
you got?
digital streaming platforms have it. The only thing that my Bandcamp has that nothing else has is chapter 4 of Mykill. I didn't put that out through the
Okay.
digital platforms. So you kind of got to go to Bandcamp to get that.
Yep.
But when you hear that chapter, you'll see why.
Okay. All right. Fair enough, man. Well, hey, with that, check out his Bandcamp. So, hey, man, thank you again, man. Before we close out this amazing session, is there anything you want to say to the crowd, to the folks watching this show? Any final words that you want to share?
For sure, man. For the people like yourself who have been fans for however long you've been fans of it, is from the beginning or you just started, I appreciate the love. I appreciate the support.
Yeah,
I don't always do this for me. Um, I do it for the people and the people that have supported me for over 25 years now. I just want to say that I'm eternally thankful and grateful for the opportunities to do things like this so people can kind of get to know who I am versus
yeah,
knowing me from the records. And just know that I am a student of the art of hip hop.
I love it.
I will never compromise that. So whatever you get from me is hip hop based, even if it ain't a whole lot of scratching and beatboxing and breakdancing in it. It's the element of hip hop goes with me wherever I go. So even when I'm at academia, it's hip hop. I'm
I
the only
love
person that wears a suit, coat, and J's.
I'd love to take a class one day too, man. It'd be great.
We be having fun, man. It's always everything is hip hop based, right? I always quote somebody somehow, some way.
I love
Find a way to make it work.
Well, good deal, man. Well, hey, thank you. With that, man, you are a true legend in the game, someone that truly gives back to the culture, man. And it's been an honor to do this interview. Thank you so much for finding some time out of your busy schedule to do this.
No,
Happy Thanksgiving,
I
brother.
appreciate you reaching out, man. I'm glad we found time to make it work.
All right, brother. Take care, and we'll
Take it,
do this.
brother.
Can't wait to release this.
No doubt.